Leafs fans, it's Game Over Toronto. Harnish, Patel, Armaan, Panthaki. We're here with you live after another one. Another crap loss against a bad team where, quite honestly, this time we kind of outplayed them. We
Kind of.
yeah. And there's one name that just keeps rearing its neck on us. One name that might have to go. He might have played himself out of Toronto today, and that is Ilya Samsonov. The Leafs lose in OT, so we keep that OT train alive now. I think we have the most OT games in the league so far. We lose 6-5 against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Yes, we lose the head-to-head 2-1 against the Blue Jackets. In a game where we outshot them 33-20. And we lost 6-5.
Yep. Not a good game for Samsonov, and he's had a string of bad games, and Jones has outplayed him. And here's the thing, like, for me, Samsonov, I have faith in Samsonov to get back to at least a backup standard.
This season?
We've seen that. Not necessarily this season. He's mentally just completely fucked. Like, he's completely mentally, like, checked out. And clearly he needs to get his confidence back. But
he's also on a 1 year. Like, what's giving us the confidence for him to come back?
Like,
I think he's out.
He really should not have taken a 1-year deal with his consistency issues. But who knows what the Leafs were offering him as well. But, at the end of the day, he sucked.
That's an
6
understatement.
goals. I think he has like an 871 on the season. I think their expected goals were like 2.1 in total in the game, and he let in 6. With that being said, I don't think all the goals were his fault, but at some point you need to make a save. And, in this game, especially if you took this game in a bubble, the Leafs played well, allowing only 20 shots. Like, that's, I think, you can't argue that they didn't play well. They outshot, they outchanced pretty much every step of the way. With that being said, if you took this game in a bubble and you watched all of the goals back, most of them are pretty big mistakes from our forwards and defensemen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, that's not an excuse. It's just something that is true about this game. Like, the chances, the goals that he allowed were hard to stop. With that being said, you need your goalie to bail you out sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're going up against, Elvis Merzlik is in the first period, but then Spencer Martin, who's like a career third stringer and backup, who has like an 892 or something in 11 games this season, not much better, and he's outplaying you. He had to stop way more high danger chances than Samsonov. So even with this argument that it's like, oh yeah, all of those goals were defensive breakdowns and all of those goals were pretty, tough chances to stop for Samsonov, you need a save. And especially that Fantilli goal, like, that was the worst of the bunch. That 5-5 goal, like, that's not a good chance. All of the rest of them, yeah, you could say whatever, like, a guy left alone, a, defensive breakdown, a turnover that shouldn't have happened, whatever. That was an outside shot, and Fantilli is a great player. No disrespect to him. He's got an amazing shot, but your goalie needs to save that in a 5-4 game in the third period. And, we can't get a save. The team in front of him cannot make a mistake because it always ends up in the back of the net. You need your goalie to bail you out sometimes, and Samsonov consistently this season has not been able to do so. And it's frustrating.
Yeah. Well, I came into the game and I was like, hey, I have no expectations for Sammy. I mean, we all know he's had such a bad season. And it's not even just a start. At this point, we're 32 games into the season. This is a consistent situation where he's not playing day in and day out. He's not playing well day in and day out. So it's not even just a lack of starts. But I came into this game today and I was like, hey, listen, we can't expect anything out of him. Realistically, if Wool was healthy, he wouldn't even be in the lineup right now. Right. And I'm honestly getting to the point where Hildeby might need to come in for him. We'll talk about that in just a bit. I was in the camp that, hey, our forwards, our skaters just cannot give anything. They can't give any chances to Columbus because you have a guy who's clearly dejected. His body language is just all out of whack. Like you see him looking up at the scoreboards, you see him looking down in despair every time something goes in. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
mentally, he's checked out. He's completely cooked right now.
Yeah.
And he
And checked out
needs
not meaning like doesn't care, but just checked out isn't like he's
he
just
needs a reset.
yeah, he
He
needs a
needs some
reset.
time
He
off.
needs a
Like
mentally,
what he
yeah.
really needs is to pass through waivers and play in the Marlies. We can't have him, or just get him some time off where he can practice one on one with the goaltending coaches and whatnot and get some confidence under him. But right now, like nothing is working for him,
Yeah.
and for him to be out there, it's just a liability. Like this season is not a given like last season where we were kind of locked into a playoff spot. We were locked into our seed halfway through the season. Right now,
Yeah, I
we're
mean,
fighting
yeah.
for each and every point. The East is a tough.
And the Atlantic Division especially, like it is a
Exactly.
tough division right now.
It's not easy. Nothing's gonna be given to you, and each of these points counts. Right? We're lucky right now that we've had so many OTs where we are getting 1 point out of the two. If we aren't getting those, let's say he lets in another bad goal today or whatnot, we are slowly gonna start dropping, and we're gonna drop pretty fast, right? Um,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried about like playoff not making the playoffs at least at this stage, just because they've been managing to get points at least. But it is a huge concern for me that without Joseph Woll, our best goalie right now is Martin Jones, and
it's
he's
crazy.
playing well. He's playing well. Like no disrespect to Martin Jones, but he's had like 8 years in a row where he's posted pretty poor results.
Yeah, he hasn't
Like
played well since San Jose, honestly, right? Like
yeah,
it's been
and
a
even in San
long
Jose, he
time.
wasn't that good. Like it's been a long time since Martin Jones has been a good goalie,
Hmm.
and I can't bring myself to expect that from Martin Jones over a full season.
Yeah,
Like and into the playoffs. God forbid we need to use a backup. Like it's worrying to me that we have one goalie that we can rely on right now, or I guess two if you count Martin Jones, but one goalie that I expect we can rely on later into the season who can keep it up and be consistent throughout.
hmm
I was really expecting Samsonov to be a bigger force coming into the season than he has been, and yeah, like to me, it's a situation where maybe just send him through waivers, bring up Hildeby. I don't think he'll hurt you. I think Hildeby might do him a service to get a few NHL games in for his development.
hmm
And there's no way he's worse than Samsonov. And I think Samsonov needs to build his confidence. And I think, you can potentially do that in the AHL, although the way he's playing right now, I'm worried that he won't be able to stop a beach ball in the AHL either. But yeah, it's it's a tough situation
the
because I
thing that
think everyone was going in with Samsonov as the starter going into the season, and to see him fall to essentially third stringer is and below a third stringer now, but like it's rough.
exactly, and I think the way he's losing these games, the way he's playing against like quite honestly pretty bad teams, is the concerning part, right? Like if you're a goalie that's on a slump, what better, I guess, like situation, what better way to get your confidence up than playing two games against Columbus in a row and then throw in
Yeah,
the Sabres game in between, right? These are
yeah,
teams that yes
should
have
be.
caused
Yeah,
us trouble in the past for whatever reason, but these are teams that are totally beatable. They're
yeah,
not good teams. Um
yeah.
and for whatever reason, he's just looked atrocious on there. Like I'm looking back on in his December, and my God, other than that 4-0 win against Nashville, I'm seeing a 4-3 loss against the Islanders, 6-5 OT loss against the Blue Jackets,
Blue Jackets. Yeah,
9-3 against the Sabres, and then 6-5 today. He's given up so many goddamn goals. He's a .851 in the month of December. I don't care.
851.
.851. His
Jesus
save percentage
Christ.
is bad. He is not good. He's
Yeah, he's let
averaging
in.
more than like he's averaging more than 6 goals like let in basically in the month of December.
Yeah, I think I saw a stat that he let in over 4 goals in 8 of 15 games that he's played, which is over half the games where he's allowed 4 goals or more. Um, yeah, like he hasn't been good, and I think it's safe to say that he needs a reset. It's just a matter of how the Leafs go about doing this. Like, are they going to look for another goalie Like, is that a priority for Tree Living to figure out, or the goalie coaches to work with Samsonov to
Mhm.
try and regain his confidence so he can come back in the playoffs?
I think they're gonna
Because
have to look for another goalie, but in the time being, like,
but where?
well,
Like, who's selling a good goalie
it's
for
gonna
a
be
good
tough, but you're
price?
gonna have to
Like,
figure
you know
it
what I
out.
mean?
Like right now, we finally have our defensive core pretty much back, right? A lot of the guys that were injured are finally coming back, or they're healthy or whatnot, right? They're just getting some games under them, getting the legs under them, and our defense is not the issue for the first time in a long time right now, right? Um,
Yeah, and
I'm
with
not saying you
Gio,
need to rush and find another goaltender right now. I'm
yeah,
saying I don't want to see Samsonov in net at all anymore. Um, and essentially bring in Dennis Hildeby. Like I understand the guy's 22 years old. I understand he's had what like 16 games maybe for the Marlies. He's had
he's
14
been
games
so
this
good though.
season. Exactly. He's had a .992 in this 14 games for this season, right? Am I expecting him to come up and be a world beater? No, obviously not. But sometimes you gotta have some faith in your young guys, and who knows, maybe he performs well. Even if he doesn't, maybe he's a below average goaltender. That experience playing in the show is gonna do you wonders, right?
Yeah,
Like
and
you're
like,
gonna get some
practicing in the
experience.
NHL as well.
Exactly. You're gonna get some experience. You're gonna find out how the rest of the show operates, what kind of shots you can expect to go against, and you'll have world class trainers that you're gonna be working with, right? Maybe a couple games is gonna be good because Wall, like, I don't think he's gonna be out for too much longer. What are they saying? Like January, February return time?
Yeah, I think the timeline was around 6 weeks at the time of injury, and I think it's been close to that now. So
Yeah, so he's not going to need a ton of games. We're not expecting him to start like 10 games or something. I think maybe like 5 games or
yeah,
something. That's good enough. Just start him cuz Samsonov right now, he's played himself out of the spot. He's completely dejected. Like honestly, putting him out there is probably worse for him than just benching him.
yeah. And the other thing that I think should be noted is I think the only way Samsonov really gets out of this slump is by playing games, and we can't
Mhm.
afford to do that in the NHL. So,
Mhm.
and I'm not saying like tank the Marlies, but like maybe give him a few games in the Marlies, see how he does, and then if he builds back his confidence, that can do wonders for him. The truth is, it's not a skill issue for Samsonov. It's not an issue where he's not flexible enough or he doesn't have the agility to make these saves. It's a problem between the brains, like,
Mhm.
and between the ears. But but yeah, Samsonov is just he's struggling mentally, and I think the only way he gets out of it is by starting games and playing well and building, confidence. And it sucks because it's like this happens every goddamn year, man.
Yeah.
You see it all the time with like Campbell, and it's just like we have goalie troubles every year. It's infuriating.
Yeah, it's lucky that we got rid of Campbell when we did. Otherwise,
Yeah.
we would have two problems up our sleeves right now. Hey guys, there's a ton of people watching right now. There's 216 people out here. Make sure you hit that like button. We're gonna be having our presser, a live presser, towards the end of the show. So drop your questions in the chat. We will be looking at them and we will be answering it. Uh, let's maybe spend a little bit of time. Let's talk a little bit about the game. Cause yeah, coming into it, Gio's back in the lineup, right? His first game back, he looked
Yeah.
all right. He had a decent amount of time that he played, right? It really didn't look like he was ramping up at all. It looked like they just threw him in the deep end.
He
And
looked
Keith,
excellent though.
yeah, he looked fantastic. And then Keith also had his 300th game as a coach for the Maple Leafs. Sucks it's a loss, but c'est la vie. That's how it goes. The Leafs start off the game 5 minutes in. Marner gets a goal,
Yep.
and it was again another goal where Marner just uses his smarts, uh, uses some patience or practices some patience, holds the puck a little bit, drops it back to Riley, and gets himself into position to get a deflection or to get a rebound. Right. In this case, it gets a deflection off of Nyes' skates and lands right on the blade of Marner's stick. But
Yeah.
yeah, what'd you think about us? I guess like going up and and
I mean,
getting
it
that
was a
first
great
goal.
start. It was a great start. I don't think that was an issue. I think we started off pretty hot. I don't know what the shots were at the time of the goal, but I think Columbus only had one shot on net. for like the first 10 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
So I thought we played really well. And that goal was really solid, from a defensive to offense transition. We saw Gaudreau kind of 1v4 and then get stopped at in our defensive zone.
Hmm.
And we kind of translated that to offense with Riley jumping up and making that play. I thought, you know, overall, everyone played pretty solid, and it was a great start. And that goal was a pretty, a beautiful play from Riley and Marner. Even though it sort of took a lucky deflection, but still, solid play. Like, good start.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that was the whole I guess recap of that first period. I feel like the first period was a pretty solid effort, right? Like in between or after that first goal, obviously Columbus they get a goal by Sillinger, and then Matthews scores to put the Leafs back up in the lead, right? Now, let's talk about
One
this.
second, I have a note
Yeah.
in my early game, and it says Samsonov not tested so far in the first 5 minutes. Leafs really helping him out in the start, and that aged very poorly.
Well, I mean they
I
okay,
mean,
other than that
they did help him.
Sillinger's yeah, other than that Sillinger goal, which let's be honest, like Lily lost an edge,
Yeah,
and
it's not
that
going to
gives
happen
Sillinger
twice, I
like a
think.
bunch of space. Exactly. He lost a
It
skate.
was an unfortunate play.
Yeah, you can't really say much about that. It was just unfortunate, like you said, right? Um, and then but other than that, right? Like it was 14-4 shots on goal in favor of the Leafs, right? Quite frankly, I feel like that was the only chance, the only high scoring chance I saw out of Columbus in that first period,
Yep,
right? The Leafs did completely lock it down and help out Sammy as much as possible.
especially in
And
that first period. Yeah,
unfortunately, yeah, something like that goes in. But that's something where the analysts were talking about it in the intermission and whatnot. Like situations like this happen, right? Like, but you would expect a goaltender to make a unexpected save, right? Here and there. You don't expect
yeah,
it day in day out. You don't expect it to play like Bassey, but you expect at least a stop, right?
yeah,
And was not the case in this situation. I don't blame him too much, and I don't blame the
yeah,
Leafs on this play at least, or at least on this period, because
yeah,
they really did try everything to help out Sammy, right? And they end off the period getting a goal and recovering that lead, right? A beautiful shot by Matthews from a near impossible angle, just absolutely insane. It surprises me every single time the way that these guys are able to make goals out of these like narrowest of margins.
yeah,
And
yeah. Absolutely.
that was his
Uh,
13th goal, 18th
yeah,
point in 9 games.
9
How
games.
fucking insane is that?
Yeah, he's got 29 goals on the season. He's like on a crazy pace. It's insane. He's insane. But like, yeah, the shots were I think were 15-4 at the end of the period, and
They
I think they
updated it
had like,
14-4.
oh, was it 14-4?
Yeah, they
Okay, yeah.
updated it.
And yeah, like I thought the Leafs played well. Really the only chance we gave up ended up in the back of our net. And
Hmm.
also, at the time, I didn't really blame Samsonov, and it was the second shot of the game. It was a really tough shot. It was prime position. The defensive structure was not set because Liljegren fell down. It was an unexpected turnover. There was traffic in front, and it was great shot placement.
Hmm.
It sucks because it was the second shot of the game, and I don't know if that's what unraveled in Samsonov's head, like in terms of just that quick goal against. But yeah, I can't blame him for that. And like you said, I can't blame the Leafs really either for that. Matthews' shot was amazing. It sort of reminds me of Fantilli's goal as well, outside angle. And like Fantilli's goal, if you give a good shooter that chance, it's tough to stop.
Hmm.
But like yeah, it's tough to talk about these goals after the game
Yeah,
when
I
we
know,
lost
I
in such
know.
a way. But
It's
yeah,
it's a pain in the ass, but
I want to say though, Marner on that Matthews goal was really, really good.
mhm,
He started the play, playing keep away. Essentially, he held the puck for like 10 seconds before getting it to Matthews, and he drew two defenders up high in the zone
mhm.
to allow Matthews to kind of just get lost, you know, pretty much around where the hash marks are on the outside angle, where he can get that shot off. So hats off to Marner. I thought every Leafs forward that we pay a lot of money to be good was fantastic in this game. They all scored. Riley had 3 assists. Not much more you can ask from them. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
Riley
Matthews
has
is
been
excellent.
yeah, as of late, honestly, Riley has been playing really, really well. Like jumping up on the plays, getting some offensive, I guess, some offensive help or positioning or shots or whatever you want to call it. He's been helping to contribute a lot, and
Yeah.
it's looked really good for him so far. Um, how have you thought or how have you thought of like Riley's play as of late? And do you think that there's anything that he's changed up to help see the difference? I
I think
guess.
he's just carried, forward from the playoffs. He's been excellent since then.
Hmm.
And I don't think he's really slowed down.
Well, as of late, he's been on a like a complete different pace. Like he's, I'll pull up his game log right now, but he's in the last couple of games, yeah. So 3 assists tonight. He had an assist on Wednesday. Yeah, and like as in the last like what is this 6 games, 7 games, he's had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 assists, right?
Yeah. But
Which
he's
is
like
stepping it up.
he
Yeah,
has 27 points in 33 games in the season. Like he's pretty much close to a point per game player.
yeah.
You know,
Uh-huh.
which is super impressive. He's played like a 1D. He's played easily to his contract. Like I don't think you can really expect more from him, and I don't think you can expect more from Marner Marner a little bit, but Matthews, not Marner in this game, but overall in the season. But I don't think you can expect more from Matthews, and I don't think you can expect more from Nylander. Like they've all exceeded expectations for me.
Hmm.
Even with their contracts considering. Like, it sucks because we're talking about a loss here and we're talking about how good our star players were. But yeah, Riley was excellent. And he was excellent again today. 3 assists, and all of the assists were earned. They
Hmm.
weren't, like bullshit secondary assists. I think he was really solid.
Hmm. Well, then let's try to clump up some of these goals that Columbus had together, because a lot of them, like you mentioned early on, um, it was because of crap, I guess, like situations where the Leafs kind of put themselves in a bad situation and really didn't help Samsonov in some of these plays, right? So, for example, I'm looking at the Columbus goal. This is
The 3-2 goal, Marchenko.
no, this is I think it's I'm gonna mispronounce his name. Uh, Gauss Gauss. What?
I don't even know who you're talking about.
I
Is
don't
it
know.
the
It was
3-2 goal
a
though?
second. It was a second goal.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the second goal for Columbus. Uh, the Leafs were caught on a sloppy line change. Right. That's a situation that really you could have avoided. Right. The puck just doesn't go deep enough when you're making a line change, and because of that, Columbus recognizes this, gets a quick rush, and Samsonov unlucky bounce. Really, it bounces off the
Yeah.
top of the stick, lands on his back, and goes in the back of the net. Shitty
Yeah.
situation, right? But that's completely avoidable if they dump the puck further in, right?
Or
Then
if they
can't.
just don't fucking change when Columbus has, like, why the hell did the defenders go for a change when Columbus had possession? I was like, what are you doing? The shots are 17-6. You're dominating the game. It's 3-1, and then you go for the dumbest change I've ever seen in my life. Why did the defenders go for the all five Leafs went for a long change like it's the second period? You have the long,
Mhm.
you know, change. The bench is on the other side, and we didn't have possession. We didn't even get it deep. Columbus had it on their stick when we went for the. Oh God. And Samsonov, honestly, he should have had that. And this is what pisses me off more. It's like that was one he could have bailed us out on. He
There's
gets
a
a piece
couple
of
that
it.
he could have bailed us out on.
And it's an unfortunate bounce. I get it, but oh my God, it was so frustrating.
Yeah,
Just stupid hockey.
it's
Stupid
stupid.
hockey resulting in the back of your net.
It's stupid, but like these are things that both like you can't just look at Samsonov. Like, but the whole point I'm trying to get at through this is, yes, Samsonov looked horrible. Yes, we would have wanted a couple saves from him, but the Leafs or the team in front of him could have helped him out a little bit more in that situation too, right? The
Yeah,
next goal, Cam
it was a
Johnson.
mistake. Yeah.
Yeah, Cam Johnson. They were
Kent
fucking
Johnson,
3-on-1
right?
in the back, like behind Samsonov at the back of the Leafs net. And Emil Bemstrom, like somehow he's able to strip the puck off of Riley 3-on-1. I don't know how. He grabs it, throws it in front of the net, and throws this right on the sticks of Cam Johnson, and obviously like he's not gonna miss from
Kent
there, right?
Johnston.
Huh?
Kent.
Ent Johnson. Sorry, Ent Johnson. Yeah.
Kent.
Huh?
Kent.
Kent? Sorry,
Yeah.
Kent Johnson. Uh, and like obviously he's not going to miss from there, right? Like this is another situation where they could have helped him out. It was a bad play, right? And then we look at the Fantilli goal. That was purely on Samsonov.
It's a good shot though. No disrespect to Fantilli, but yeah, Samsonov needs to have that. Like, there's nothing more the defenseman can do than give him a clean shot outside angle above the hash marks. Like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree on the Kent Johnson goal as well. Like, yeah, Kent Johnson's he's a good player. He's not gonna miss a chance when he's like that open in front of the net with that much time. And Sammy was late to react to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
But, Domi and Brody, I think, were the two other guys that went below the goal line to help Riley out and left Kent Johnson wide open.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that's a mistake and a miscommunication on their part. They see Riley battling, and I know that they want to give him, the open lane to pass to, but
Yep.
that's a mistake. You don't leave a guy in front. Just, I don't know. That's dumb hockey to me as well. Obviously, another situation where it would be nice to get bailed out. But again, it's another situation where I'm not blaming Samsonov on that specific goal because it's not really his fault. You just want him to make one of these saves and then we win this game. One of these hard to make saves and you win the game. So, like, yeah, it's just a tough situation. But again, defensive breakdown, really something that should have been should have never happened.
Yep, exactly. And it just sucks because like it wasn't for a lack of trying for the Leafs, right? Like, yeah, you had these bad plays or you had this bad defensive breakdown or whatnot, but up until that OT goal, the Leafs held or the Leafs were the only team that had or that were up, I guess, in the game, right? Like we were either always up by 1 or 2 or it was a tied game. We never let up the lead to Columbus at all until that final OT goal, right? So the forwards, they did absolutely everything they could today, right? Marner, he gets the goal. Matthews was able to get one. Nick Robertson, we didn't even mention him. He stops a 14 game skid. Yeah, he gets his first goal in 14 games, his 4th of the season. And then Nylander gets one, Tavares gets one. Like all of our forwards, all of our guys were contributing, and they were having some kind of offensive, I guess, upside. They were keeping us in the game, like throughout the entire
honestly,
thing. And
like our stars showed up, but also like from a secondary scoring perspective, I know Nick Robertson's the only secondary scoring we got this game, but Bobby McMahon, Noah Gregor both had fantastic rushes that resulted in very high danger chances that got stopped. We were getting offensive output or offensive chances from essentially every single one of our lines today. Domi had a few good shots on net. One drive where he was essentially left alone, and I don't know if it was Martin or Merzlikins in the net at that time, but they made a good save. We're getting chances from all of our forwards.
Yeah,
we are limiting shots pretty drastically. Now, the shots we let through were very high danger, so that's something that I think could be fixed. But in the end of the day, you outshoot your opponent pretty much like, what was it overall?
It was 33 to, I believe, like
33 to 21?
21, 22, yeah.
Yeah,
33 to 21.
And that sucks, but there's nothing you can really do about it. Like, your goalie needs to make a fucking save.
Yeah, and you talk about the high scoring chances, like I'm looking at Money Puck right now, right? And yeah, they had a couple, but it wasn't like it was outstanding or it wasn't anything insane. They had a 2.1 expected goals versus the Leafs 4.09, right?
Well, there is a bit of like context to put into that. Like, Money Puck is like any public expected goals model, doesn't really take into account puck or player tracking. So this stuff kind of gets standardized or normalized over a large sample. But today there were a lot of plays where people were left alone in front, which would not really show up in expected goals. So that's sort of why that happened. But on the whole, I agree. Like, we didn't give up that many chances. Like, we gave up probably, I would say, 5 good chances, and Samsonov stopped one of them, maybe.
And a lot of
which
them
is
were in like
horrible. Yeah,
the third period or the OT. Like the first period was completely shut down. The second period we still outshot them. What was it? 12-7. Like I can count maybe like three pretty high scoring chances. But other than that, like we pretty much locked down the gates for them, right?
yeah,
It really just seemed like anytime we had a bad misplay where we didn't absolutely hand Samsonov a save on a platter, it
it
doesn't get
ended up in
saved.
the back of her
Yeah,
net.
it ends up in the back of the net, which
And it's
sucks.
yeah, yeah. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. Like every single game, a team will make multiple mistakes.
Hmm.
That is just the nature of hockey.
Hmm.
You cannot play a perfect game.
Exactly.
Your goalie needs to bail you out sometimes.
Hmm.
And we made, I would say, 5 major mistakes in this game, and
Uh-huh.
our goalie bailed us out once. He made like one really good save, and that is it. You
Hmm.
know, that is not a good save percentage on high danger shots against. That's a horrible save percentage on high danger shots against. And you can say, you can blame the Leafs defensive, structure for breaking down on those plays, and that would be true. That is something that they would need to fix, that they would need to look at in video, but you need to expect to save in at least one of these other, goals that went in. You need to expect to save. And that's the win right there. Even if he only allows in like 4 goals,
Hmm.
that's a win.
Hmm.
Everyone else did everything right. This is a stupid ass loss. It's a stupid, dumb loss that I hate to see, for a struggling goaltender because it's just like he's in the depths right now, man.
Yeah, and this wasn't even like his first like pretty bad like OT loss or whatnot. This is his. Let me count the OT loss that he's had in particular. There's one tonight against the Blue Jackets again, which we lost 6-5,
6-5, yeah.
and then against the Islanders again a 4-3 OT loss, Chicago a 4-3 OT loss, Boston a 3-2 shootout loss, and Nashville back in November a 3-2 OT loss. That's
You,
6 OT losses where if he makes one more save, if he pulls out one rabbit out of a hat, we get those extra points, right?
yeah. Yeah, did you hear on the broadcast they said something interesting where it was like in the third period he has a save percentage of like 946
Oh yeah.
compared
Wow.
to his other 2 periods, which I thought was like wild. And he let in 1 goal in the third period. But and to be fair, to put into context, he's been pulled multiple times, which obviously plays a factor into his third period save percentage compared to his rest. But yeah, like I thought that was a wild stat. But yeah, like
Mhm.
honestly, at the end of the second period, I think the shots were 26-11, and I'm pretty sure we were tied
Yeah.
or were we up one. I don't remember, but still.
Yeah,
Uh
going into that second period,
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
two
he
one.
let in 4 goals on 11 shots.
Yeah, we were five
That's
four
unacceptable.
at
No
the
matter
end of the
what the
second.
goals are, that is unacceptable.
Hmm.
That is something where I would expect if you put David Ayers in net, you know? Like it's
So
stupid.
then, do you want to see Hildeby? What do you want to see
Yeah,
changed?
put him down for a conditioning stint. Put
Yeah.
him in the AHL, get his confidence up,
Uh huh.
bring up Hildeby, give him a couple games. I don't think they should do it if it's like a long-term thing,
Yeah.
but do it for a few games. He's not going to get fucking claimed on waivers. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I
that's
mean?
for
Like,
sure. Because I'm looking through our schedule right now, and we have a decent amount of back to backs. Like, January 2nd and 3rd. Those are two back to backs against
yep,
the Kings and then Anaheim. And then we have another back to back on the 13th and 14th, Colorado and Detroit. So we have a decent number of opportunities. I'm counting three back to backs in January,
yep.
where Hildeby could come in, right?
And
And
that's another
honestly, that's
thing.
3 games is not a big deal. Like it's
Yeah,
not gonna be something that's insane. 3 games, that's gonna take you to the end of January, and then we'll reevaluate, see how Hildeby's doing, see where Wall is, and see where Samsonov is with his stint with the Marlies, right?
yeah. And that's another thing is like in a back-to-back situation, you're much less incentivized to pull a goalie to put in, if he's having a bad game.
Hmm.
Because you need the rest for Martin Jones to play tomorrow, you know? Like I
Hmm.
see a lot of people saying like Keith should have pulled him. And while I do agree to a certain extent, there is that incentive to make sure that your guy is rested to come in tomorrow and have Samsonov just battle it out. And that's probably not great for Samsonov, you know,
Hmm.
to be in a situation
Especially,
where he's really in his own head.
yeah.
And then you end up losing that game pretty much because of him.
Hmm.
It can't be good for his confidence, you know?
Yeah, like you're put in tomorrow or the back to backs game in jeopardy as well, right? Because
Yeah.
for example, let's say Martin Jones comes in and he's cold, and God forbid something happens. That's You're losing today's points and you're losing the points for tomorrow against Carolina and going forward, right?
Yeah.
So today, like I saw a lot of conversation about pulling him. I really didn't want to see it. I think just let him battle through it. Let him see if he can pull himself out of the slump. Let it see if he can play a little bit better. Because we really don't have the luxury at this point. We only have two goaltenders and then Hildeby if you wanna bring him up, right? We don't have the luxury of being able to pull a guy and then if someone gets injured or someone lose their confidence or stops playing well, like we'd be completely screwed, right?
Yeah,
So
I don't know.
it's a
It's
tough
a tough
situation.
situation, yeah, to be in for a coach in that scenario. I do think, like, with hindsight, of course, it probably would have been a good idea to pull him.
I still
Not even
don't
with
think
hindsight,
so.
like
I still don't
I don't
think
know.
so.
Like I
He
wasn't,
let in one goal in that third period.
but every shot
OT.
against, I was tense because
Yeah,
I did not
exactly. You
expect him
were,
to make a
but
save.
the one goal that he or I guess he two goals because he let in a goal in the third and then one in OT.
And but the
Um,
OT goal also, like, well, what chance did he have? To be fair to him as well, like
yeah,
Johnny
exactly.
Gaudreau,
But
like
that's what I mean. Like, why in hindsight, why do you see that Martin Jones would have been the better situation or the better option?
I don't know,
Because
just a
like,
little more confidence maybe for the team in front of him too.
oh, okay, you think it's like a more
Like
mental thing
I
of
think it
okay,
was, yeah, just like
fair,
a, I don't know, because like I, honestly, you just if we had a different goalie tonight, we would have won.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like that
uh-huh,
type of thing. But it is what it is. Like,
hmm,
honestly, I do think he had a tough game, but I do think that we gave up a decent amount in terms of the chances. You want your goalie to make a save when you don't expect him to.
hmm, exactly. All right, guys, we're going to be going into the live presser. So if you guys have any questions, make sure you drop it down below into the chat. There's still a ton of you guys watching, so make sure you hit that like button and hit subscribe. We're almost at 100,000
100K, yeah.
subscribers. Yeah, so we're pretty close there. Help us out. And yeah, throw your questions down there. Armaan, other than that, other than the Samsonov shit show, did you have any other thoughts on the game? I know we had some good things
I
going
thought
with our
Gio
forwards, but
looked
yeah.
good in his first game back. I think it's really good to have him back. I think
Uh-huh.
he especially helps out our PK.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he looked excellent. Like, honestly,
What do you think of Benoit and Lagesson? Because it really seems like those two are kind of fighting for one spot now in the lineup.
I was surprised that Timmins is getting pushed out. So, well, not really surprised. I think he has been outplayed,
Yeah.
but him being a right shot, I thought would have changed things and maybe elevated. But he is a completely different skill set, to be fair as well.
Hmm.
Benoit and Legason, I think, are pretty steady defensemen, and it's great to see because, um, I wasn't exactly worried about defensive depth going into the season because I know Benoit and Legason both had NHL experience,
Hmm.
but at least in the preseason they showed some warts in their play, and Benoit especially didn't look all that good in the preseason, and he has been a very pleasant surprise for me. I thought he had a lot of chemistry tonight with McCabe. Positionally, I think they knew where each other were pretty much all the time. They were connecting on passes, and yeah, I think Benoit also brings something physically to the team that lacks. We saw him throw a big hit. We saw him fight Branson, go after Fantilli. Like, he was getting into it, and Legason as well. Last game, he got into it. I forgot with who, but when they took an extra whack
Yeah. And he's
at
always looks
Jones.
like he's throwing some big hits every now
Yeah,
and then
like, and
too. So
honestly, that's something that I love to see. Like, regardless of whether or not it's warranted. Like when Legason went after the Sens player when he took an extra whack, it's like,
yeah.
the whistle hadn't gone yet. It makes sense for the Sens player to keep going for it, but it also makes sense for your team to stick up for your goalie
Hmm.
and, you know, get into a tussle when they take an extra whack when it's covered. I love that. I absolutely love that. So I'm very glad to see that we have two guys that seem to be pretty steady and are also willing to get their, uh, get in people's faces and play a pretty physical game.
Mhm.
And honestly, right now with Brody matched up with Riley and Geo matched
Gio
up with
Lily.
Liljegren,
Yeah.
like those are pairings that we know work.
Mhm.
It's now a matter of finding McCabe a D partner. And Benoit, I thought, looked really, really solid with him. So that's good to see. I'm excited to see if they continue with that or if they put Legason in for tomorrow.
Mhm. For sure. We'll see how that goes because it looks like they're kind of just playing around and trying to figure out who, yeah, like you said, is going to be his partner to the dance, McCabe's partner to the dance. So we have some questions coming in. DM says, do you think it's too risky to put Samsonov on waivers? No, he is not going to get claimed.
He's not
Let's
going to
be
get
honest.
claimed.
Yeah, there's no hesitation. He is not going to get claimed. Uh Matthew, he's saying, as much as I hate the Bruins, I stand by the Boston cream donut. Why did he tag you in that?
Oh, it's because I said Honey Cruller is the best donut, and
Oh,
it
okay, yeah,
is.
you're wrong. Boston
Don't at
cream
me.
is the best.
No, Honey
It's
Cruller
not
is the
even
best.
close.
Honey Cruller is the best. I always get it. It's nice and light compared to other donuts, which
Yeah, no, I want. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that.
the one thing I will
Boston
say.
cream's great.
Oh,
I also love
Samsonov isn't
the
even
maple.
an RFA anymore. He's a UFA. Okay, yeah, he's not getting claimed.
Yeah,
I was
he's
gonna
in the
say if
way.
he was an RFA, maybe no, he's not getting claimed.
Yeah.
Um,
There's another question down here. Okay, yeah. So Travis, I'm not even gonna pronounce his last name. Says not worried about the Leafs bottom, the defensive depth. They have no top end, bottom end doesn't matter. Listen, right now the problem is not our defense. I understand, like, yeah, there are some holes. Obviously, you would want to shore some stuff up. That's something that we've been talking about since the beginning of the season, right?
yeah,
But right now, the urgent issue is our goaltending, right? We came to the season thinking that we wouldn't have an issue with our goaltenders. Our tandem should look okay, but right now it's not working. And for Wool, I mentioned this when he got injured as well. This is the second time he's had that same ankle sprain or whatever injury in 2 seasons. He had that last season at the beginning of training camp, and that's why he missed training camp, right? He was coming back from an injury and then he injures his ankle and he's out for some time. And this time
yeah,
again, it's an ankle injury. So I don't know if it's a reoccurring thing, but I do know when you mess with tendons and when those start getting damaged, they get weaker. They don't get
yeah.
stronger over time. So you need to have another guy in there just as a backup, just to give him some options because you can't rely on one guy to take you all the way. It's just not feasible.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I do see your comment saying Leafs have one top 4D, Riley, and the rest are 5, 6, 7 level. I tend to disagree with that. I don't think five of our defensemen are bottom pairing. But we do. I think we don't have a top 2D. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like Brody is a great player. I love him. He's not exactly like someone
He has
who's
some lapses.
offensively gifted.
Yeah, and he also has some lapses of judgment where you're like,
Yeah, like there are some plays where he doesn't look all that great, but yeah, so I do think we lack someone who's the second best defenseman on the team, that type of thing,
Mhm.
someone of that caliber. But I do think we also have like four guys who I think I would be fine putting in a pinch in the top four. You know what I mean? Like I'm okay with Liljegren being there for a bit. I don't think
Mhm.
he's a top 4D man, but I think he's right on that edge.
Yeah,
I think the same for Geo. Like, he can take so many minutes. And at his age, obviously you don't want him to, but he can. Like he has the ability to do that in a pinch. And I don't think defense is the biggest issue for this team at this stage with
exactly.
everyone coming back, especially with Benoit and Legason kind of coming out and being good for their depth.
Mhm.
Do I think it would be good to add a defenseman? Absolutely, especially if you can push those guys down. If you can get like a number two guy, that would be great.
Mhm.
But they're hard to come by, and I think we have a bigger priority right now in net. So yeah,
Yeah, and that
that's my
that kind
thoughts
of
on it.
leads to David W's question: how soon do you believe GM Treliving will waive Samsonov? Should a trade that involves that goalie? Should a trade that involves that goalie isn't immediate? Yeah, like I think Treliving is looking for another option as we speak. Now the problem is who is that option, right? that's going to be the tough situation. But like, you'd be a fool to think that he's not currently looking for it. And if there is someone that is available, he will drop Sammy that same instant. The moment we sign someone that can be a replacement, he is getting waived that instant. I honestly think if once Wall gets back, like, he's gonna get waived anyways. I think he's gonna get dropped down to the AHL.
It's a miracle that Jones didn't get claimed off of waivers at the start of the season when we put him on waivers. Like,
yeah. I think a lot of teams are kicking themselves over that too. Like, think about it. There's a lot of teams that would want to have Martin Jones the way he's playing right now, but I don't think a lot of people really thought that that he was going to play.
And
like
also,
that.
There was some cap shenanigans with his cap in terms of, I don't know what the scenario was, but there was like $100,000 payment that had to be made like the day after he got put off of waivers or something like that. So that added incentive not to pick him up. But that's just that's hilarious. But cap wizardry right there. But yeah, honestly, like, if we didn't have him right now, I don't know what our record would be in these last like 15 games. Like with Samsonov and I guess Petrozelli or Hill to be up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been bad. So I'm very glad that Jones didn't get claimed off of waivers. We'll see what happens though. But yeah, I expect him to kind of go down for a conditioning stint soon enough.
Yep. Now, there any other questions that you're looking at? Has anything popped out at you?
I did see a comment saying that Samsonov has like the worst save percentage since like the 80s or like 89, 90 for the Leafs.
Oh God.
Which beats Vesatoskala at his worst, which is saying something considering Vesatoskala is Vesatoskala. So
I'm honestly not surprised. Like, think about how many goddamn goals he's let in, like, just in the last month. Right?
Yeah, I hope he figures it out.
And especially when you have...
I hope he figures it out.
Yeah, I know. But, like, think about it. Like, six goals and 21 shots. Yeah, that's not a recipe for success, right?
Yeah. It's by Warrior Womp. He said, Ilya Samsonov's .862 save percentage is the lowest by a Leafs goaltender through the first 15 starts of a season since Alan Bester in 89-90. It's the lowest by any NHL goalie through 15 starts since Dan Cloutier in 2006.
Oh, my God.
Oh, that's great.
Insane stats, by the way. Shout out Warrior Womp for pulling that out.
Yeah, I see a lot of like fire Keith things, which I don't understand.
You're gonna fire the guy on his 300th
game. Actually,
300th game of the season. I mentioned
300 games.
Uh-huh.
He sits at the highest point percentage of any coach in NHL history at the 300 game mark.
Uh-huh.
Which obviously,
when you have a great team,
inherited on a phenomenal team. Unlike any other coach probably in history, because generally when you get fired, you're not getting a great team. But
do you have his stats? Can I? Or if you don't have it, don't pull it up. Don't pull it up if you have it. Like how many games he's won and all that.
I have his point percentage up, but yeah, yeah.
How many games do you think he's won? Ignore it. Okay, well you can just do simple math, I guess.
300? No, out of 300 percentage. I don't know, like 100.
I'll give you an over under. I'll give you
85.
Oh my God! There's no way you didn't look that up.
Was that dead on?
Not dead on, but you were 3 off. It was 183. Holy shit! What a legend. Yeah, 183 wins, 80 losses, 36 overtime losses. Well, actually 37 now.
Yeah. And also against bottom 7 teams this season, I also wanted to touch on this. We are 3-5-3.
Yeah, don't remind me.
Fuck?
Don't remind me.
Against bottom 7 teams, we are 3-5-3. If we took OT away and just considered them losses, that's 3-8.
Yeah, don't remind me.
That's disgusting.
The Chicago losses where like half of their goddamn lineup was out and we got shelled.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no fun.
That's
no
infuriating.
Bueno. All right, well, if that's all the questions, then I think we'll call it here. I saw someone in the chat talking about how I don't have bed sheets on my bed. It's because
those are bed sheets, aren't they?
No, that's not a bed sheet. That's just that's a bed sheet. It's not a blanket. I think he was saying. Yeah. The reason why I don't have my blanket on is because I don't know if I should say.
Is it the Daisy lion?
No. I got rid of the lion one, but I think this is arguably worse. Should I pull it up?
Yeah, pull it up.
It's so bad, especially like now that the juniors is going on. I feel like this is sacrilegious.
Yeah. Is it an American one?
Yeah.
Disgusting. Put that away.
I'm not joking, bro. I think Rudish is using, or my grandparents are using the tiger one So I have to use this. And
Oh my god, why do you even have that? Who?
ask my parents. I don't know. I've never lived in America. I'm not an American. I'm a Canadian. I love Canada, by the way. But there's a
Bro,
reason I don't have this on my bed right now, okay?
that's a good choice.
All right. Well, that's going to do it here from us. Thank you guys for watching. This has been a long one. We appreciate each and every one of you that stuck around. There's still like 200 of you here. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't already. Like we said, we're so close. Just 1.5k off of the 100,000. So help us hit that milestone. And ignoring my blankets, the SCPN's doing a bunch of good content around the juniors. So make sure you tune in after each of the Canadian games. We'll have a host along with an elite prospects analyst to take a look at the games. Those have been really fun. Today List did one over the Sweden loss, which kind of sucked. Yeah, it sucked for Canada, but we've got some more games, so make sure you stay tuned in for that. That's a lot of fun. And as always, we have so much other game overs going on with the other Canadian markets and a lot of other content here on the SDPN channel. So hit like, hit subscribe, tune in tomorrow where the Leafs face off against, who is it, the Carolina Hurricane? Yes,
Yep.
the Carolina Hurricane, and I think it's you and Lauren on for that, right, Armaan?
Yes, it is.
All right, so you'll see Armaan's lovely face there. Armaan, give us your shout out. Tell the people where they can find you.
On Twitter, you can find me at Armaan Panthaki. Just follow me on there.
And you can find me at Harnish_Patel. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Good night.